Live. You're listening to with Men, the podcast.
Yeah, this is Men, the podcast. Tuna discuss everything men, but focus yetu zaidi ipo kwenye mental health. Na tunazungumzia mental health kwa context ya Tanzania kwa sababu moja. Tunajaribu sana kunormalize this conversation. So because of that, that's the reason we have extra respect kwa kila mtu ambaye anakuja humu ndani. Because moja, it's not an easy room to be in. I always say kwamba you're actually putting your vulnerability. Ngoja niongee kwa Kiswahili.
Ongea kwa Kiswahili. What is vulnerability?
Sijui, lakini unaweka udhaifu wako, naweza nikasema unaweka udhaifu wako na mapungufu yako na weaknesses zako up there. Na katika jamii ambayo maybe haiko tayari kufahamu hilo, hata kama inajua hilo tatizo lipo, lakini haiko tayari kuzungumzia hilo. So that's why we have super special respect kwa kila mtu anayekuja kuingia huko ndani. Lakini number 2, a conversation ambayo inabidi tuwe nazo. We should really normalize conversation kuhusiana na mental health kwa jamii nzima kwa ujumla, lakini most important kwa target audience yetu ambao tunazungumzia zaidi wanaume, kwa sababu again tumekuwa victim wa mambo mengi sana kuhusiana swala zima la mental health based on tulivyolelewa, mazingira yetu ya nchi yetu Tanzania, Afrika tulionao, and then ego na vitu vyote ambavyo vinakuja na wanaume na expectations za mwanaume awe nani. Na vile siku hizi mpaka tunaweza kuambiwa na wadada kwamba huo sio wanaume, lakini you dare you to say huo sio mwanamke, they will kill you. Man, hey, kweli Chris Rock said watu ambao wanapendwa bila sababu duniani au viumbe vinavyopendwa bila sababu ni wanawake, watoto na paka. Because hata mbwa inabidi apendwe kwa sababu analinda. As a man, according to Chris Rock, you're only loved by what you can do na wanaume wako. Provide, kama ushinda ku provide, kuwa useful, jua hata kufungua vitanda, kwa fundi bomba. Ila kama huna chochote unachofanya, nobody will love you as a man. @Men the podcast on Twitter and @Men the podcast on Facebook, and on Instagram as well. Nadia is our own resident psychologist. How are you, man?
I'm great.
You're not Gucci today.
I'm Gucci.
You're Gucci.
Yeah.
Nadia is Gucci. So
Gucci and grapes.
yeah. So Nadia is our resident psychologist. You can actually unaweza kumpata kupitia @mindmatterstz on Twitter and @mindmatterstz on Instagram. There's a link kwenye bio yake ambayo itakupeleka kwenye website yake, and then unaweza kumpata. Point naweza kuongea hivi kila siku ni kwamba inabidi una uhitaji kweli ili uweze kumfikia. Otherwise ukisema ufikie tu kwa ajili ya kupiga story, endelea kusikiliza podcast. My man.
After that introduction.
This guy right here. I was telling my wife, like, before me and you got married, wakati tunaanza mahusiano, I didn't think I chased you as long as I've been chasing this guy to come into the party. Like, you've set the bar so high of us getting the guest into the program, man.
No, man.
Idris.
It wasn't purposefully. It wasn't purposefully. It's just wrong timing. Yeah, the earth is just inclining differently.
I totally agree. And so we have Idris Sultan in the building today. Thank you for coming through. So we did our first episode, I think it was November 2019.
Yeah.
And I started to look for Idris after second or third episode. This is our 47th episode that we are recording today.
Wow.
It's almost 2022.
Okay,
It's almost 2022.
Shit, that's a long time.
That's a longest time to look for a guest for your podcast.
And they are alive.
Oh man,
Even dead. They're not even the president.
Yeah, but you know what? It reached a point I was like, I think we were in this conversation together. And I said, you know what? I'm not even going to call you out anymore because I've done that. Because we have no shame. So
it
for
should
me,
tell you something about me.
It does. So for me, I was like, you know what? When stars aligned, na kila kitu kikiwa sawa,
It will work.
then we'll do an episode. This day I texted him like, yo, we need to do another. We really need to do that episode. He was like, first week of November. And that was in September, I
think so, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, first week of November. He was like, yep, let's do first. So I was like, is this fool testing me to see if I remember how what? So the last week of October, I just responded to that text like, Just so you know, I still remember. You know? Yeah, so first week of November 2021, here we are.
You set a reminder, I know you did.
Yeah, I did. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming through, man.
Thank you very much.
How have you been?
I've been very
Successful?
I don't know. see the thing about being something, you never know what you are.
Speak on that a little bit.
I mean, here's the thing. If you had called me 46 episodes ago, I would have said I've been very good. But if you ask me if I was very good, I'd be like, no way. I wasn't good. So now, I don't know what I am. Until you ask me this question, a few months later, then I can tell you how I am today compared to how I was. But it's always a comparison to something. So whether you're good or not, I don't know.
Are you saying being good is a social construct right now?
It's a perspective. Yeah, it's pretty much a perspective. You're only as good as people tell you are. Now, they always have to compare it to something. Now that's the weird part.
I don't know if he's being smart or you agree with that, Nadia. You agree with what he said?
Not entirely, but I to an extent.
There's two questions there,
Yeah.
There's how do you feel you are?
Yes.
That's the real question.
That's something.
How are you? That's another question.
That's
See,
very
when-
social.
There you go. So when you ask me how are you, I will tell you according to the standards that you know from everybody's perspective. If you ask me how do you think you are, I will tell you according to what I think. And that could be a whole different thing. And you don't have to agree with that, honestly. And I will agree with your mind. Maybe you would be right or wrong, which is also a perspective.
It is a perspective.
So how I am according to everybody, I'm fucking amazing. I'm amazing.
Yeah.
According to everybody.
According to
That's
everybody.
why. That's when I asked you how you're like I am. I was like successful. Because
Exactly.
again,
That's the
I agree.
Amazing.
the
Perception.
image that
The
you
image.
see.
Because people have their goals on me.
Yeah.
And they
Their
can't
expectations.
necessarily.
Does that weigh heavy on you though?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I am a work in progress. Yes, I am pretty much a work in progress. I am better today than I was yesterday, and I'm always learning.
That's good enough.
I'm always learning.
That's good enough. That's being kwa binadamu.
People like that. It's weird. Curiosity.
I don't know if people like that or people do not want to see that. Because I think it's up there, lakini tumeamua kwamba kuitreat as if it's something that is not. Again, tabia yetu, especially sisi ya kufumbia mambo macho, lakini unajua hili ni tatizo, unaliona, na unajua outcome yake ni nini, lakini unaamua kusema if I die, I die. Ngoja niachane nao.
Who do you think people listen to?
Men, the podcast. For starters.
Good one.
Yeah. For starters, I mean, they have to. So, before I start with you, I want to ask Nadia something. Nadia, can you please, I know you've done it before, like in depression, if you were to define it.
Wow, it's like the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah. Tell me.
Set the tone.
I think he knows where I'm heading with this question.
Go.
But Nadia, define depression for us.
So in layman's terms,
Yeah.
depression is basically a host of different things. So most of the times tunaielezea in relation to the symptoms that one will experience. Yeah. So tukiongelea depression also naona ndio kwa Kiswahili. It's more or less characterized by a very low mood. So sadness is the predominant mood. Yeah, so depression is a mood disorder. Yeah, inaenda inavuruga mfumo wetu wa hisia. So unakuwa muda mwingi unatawaliwa na hisia za huzuni kuliko furaha. Not that hamnaga periods ambayo utasikia furaha, lakini predominantly for 2 or more weeks your predominant mood ni sadness. Yeah, so there can be bouts here and there, but they're very rare. So majority predominantly ni huzuni. Symptoms ambazo zinajitokeza with depression ni maybe changes in your appetite. Unaona hamu yako ya kula inaongezeka au inapungua, it's either or. Hali ya usingizi, either unalala sana au unashindwa kulala altogether. Difficulties concentrating. So kama ulikuwa before unaweza ukakaa na kitabu ukasoma a whole chapter, unaona your attention, you're not able to hold that you're normal.
Temporary HDD.
Exactly. You know, hata kazini unaweza ukajikuta umekaa inabidi uzunguke because huwezi kukaa ukafocus in one thing. Yeah. Isolating oneself or surrounding yourself with people all the time. Because being alone is not
it's destructive.
Yeah. You know, so it's either being alone in a bush of how you're feeling state, so you kind of distract being around people, or you isolate. It's like a form of self-punishment. Engaging in reckless behavior is not so much as depression. Kwa sababu energy levels zinakuwa very very low. Suicidal thoughts are very common when one is depressed. Lakini taking action on those thoughts becomes hard because of that lack of energy. So it's like a pro.
So with what Nadia said,
Wow.
Idris, have you ever been depressed?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about it.
Oh, I've been so depressed. I only knew after I was. I didn't
And
know as I was.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about it. Yeah.
That's the whole thing with mental, like anything mental health related, is that when you're in it, you're absorbed. It's hard to kind of take that bird's eye view. It's easier to nje akwambie mbona Idris now you know you're not dressing the way you dress, you're not behaving the way you used to behave, you're not doing the things you used to enjoy doing, and that's another key feature. Yeah, depression is that there isn't that joy anymore. Like if you used to enjoy playing soccer or enjoy you know, creating comedy or creating content, it's not bringing you the pleasure that it once did. So what to outside yourself can actually see okay, kuna mabadiliko. But oneself, the person who's actually experiencing that, it's hard kuona mwenyewe kutafanya kwamba okay, this is what's happening, because that's how mental health conditions work. They kind of suck you in and keep you in there. So even your thought patterns, it does not let you to think outside where you are.
Very true.
Yeah, so speak on it a little bit from your personal experience.
I think it was when was this? 2016, 2015, right to the end. I think that's by the time where I hit negative in funding. My finances were negative. They weren't zero. They were like negative. Now I owed people money, given the fact that I had so much money.
Yeah.
And at the same time, my relationship was not there. I ended it, but that's not, ending a relationship does not mean you even wanted to. You only wanted to because it wasn't even good for you anymore. It was even destructive. So that's by the time I think I stayed in my room up in my room for like a month. When I say I stayed in my room, I had a big house. Understand? I never went to the living room. I never went even to my compound. I was in my bedroom for a month. So at some point, even my house help, they would come and just to see if I killed myself.
Like, dude, are you still alive?
For their job security.
For their job security. Am I getting paid or not?
I mean, they would never exactly say, oh, you're alive. No, but they would definitely, whatever they were asking, it never made sense, but it made sense somehow. They'd be like, oh, you're okay. What do you mean, oh, you're okay? I mean, as in opposed to what? I'm in my room. What do you expect? So I was up there, but I would say, I don't know what my mind did, but here's one thing I would talk about, and then bring me back if I trail off very much. Recently, I've just understood what I did then. Recently, as I mean this year. Back then, I just thought I broke through. So here's the thing. When people say I am free, what do they mean I am free? Because your mind can sabotage you, and it's yours. Understand that. It's yours, but it can sabotage you. So I understand when you say you're depressed, and you know that's bad, but nobody's keeping you there. You're the one keeping yourself there. So how do you break from that? You need. I was listening to this person, and he told me about there's so many minds, and every mind does something else, and then they all meet in the lobby or in the hallway, and they discuss what are we doing, and then they go with the one with the best idea.
The human mind.
Exactly.
Complex.
So when you see yourself wanting not to do something, but you still keep doing it, Is because that mind of doing that thing is
winning.
dominant over everybody else.
Yeah.
That's when you have an addiction. So I think my mind of constructing myself back to my goal was dominant back then. And regardless of everything that was going wrong, my mind just came back and asked me, do you remember what was the main goal? The main goal was to get the platform. Not the money, not the fame. The platform for you to move forward with it and do way bigger things. So $300,000 was not the goal. A relationship that's working was not the goal. You can get them, but you can only get them if you move on. And I proceeded. I mean, I literally just proceeded. I moved out of my room.
Yeah, but wow, that's a very important thing to say. And I think a lot of us, as we process things, or when we are going through motions na changanyiko wa maisha, sababu saa nyingine maisha yanatupiga left, right and center. We really tend to forget the main goal. Kwamba what is it?
What do I need?
Na saa nyingine tunasahau kwamba katika kuchase your goal kuna other blessings zinaweza zikaja. Na hizi blessings nyingine zikija unaweza ukajikuta ukasahau what the goal was. Ukaanza kuangaika na vitu vinavyokuja left, right and center. So for you the plan was the platform.
The platform was from before I even went to Big Brother. I say.
So the plan was not to win.
No, I didn't. I wanted to stay for a month. It's a 3-month show. I said I'm gonna get this month na nitaitumia mimi kufanya vitu vikubwa zaidi ambavyo mimi ndo nataka kuvipanga kuvifanya, including getting Oscars and all this and whatnot, starting my production companies and everything.
Be careful what you're wishing for.
I know.
And then you went in stay for 3 months.
And I was like, after a month, if anybody was following up very addictively on the show,
I did back then.
When the month was done, I went to the camera. I was like, this wasn't the plan. Honestly. And because I remember the day that I was planning this, I used to work in a photography company, production with iView, right?
Yeah, iView.
So I was with Imani. He was one of the photographers and graphic designers there, and tulikuwa tunakula chips pale na dili kijito nyama kuna sehemu kichapele kuna kaduka ka pesa sio kuna chips pale
kama ukishuka bondeni pale. I lived there.
Mimi nilikuwa nalipaka pale laki kwa mwezi.
Kwamba unaenda unakula.
Yeah, niwe naenda kula tu. Of course it is way more ukiwa unalipa kila siku.
Very smart.
So yes, to the guy
financial literacy.
Akawa ananipa kwa kila jioni niko pale. Oh, it is fresh bus kepe. Ilikuwa ni kepe yai na sausage mbili. Zinakatoka zinakagiwa ndani. That's it. Standard. It's known. I will choose either lunch or dinner, not two. So nitajua na kulaje. Kwa hiyo niko pale tukawa tunaongea na Imani and I told him, Skia, we need to grow and to extend ourselves beyond Africa and stuff. And by the time kwa sababu ideas tunakuwa na ideas nyingi afu nasikia hiyo Tanzania hawataelewa. Basi tutafute sehemu nyingine basi ambao pia wanaweza kaelewa because they're like great ideas. They're like good ideas. Now nikitembea nikiangalia billboards, I see most of the ideas ambazo I was pitching in na zilikuwa zieleweki by the time. I still don't blame it, but I say labda it needed a process for people to understand and learn, which is a good
maybe
thing.
you're moving too fast.
Exactly. Which is something most of the people who are dealing with society and public should definitely learn. It's language. Language is not like French, English. No, it's you can both speak Swahili and speak a different language. I mean, you can speak to everybody regardless of speaking the same language. Now that's language. I mean, what do you understand? I can say and you can get it and you wouldn't get it. That's our language and not hers.
Yeah.
So by the time, we spoke and I was like, so what's the plan? I'm gonna go in and stay for a month. By then, people know me and we can use that and leverage it to do like bigger stuff. Okay, so after a month, I'm like, okay, so this wasn't the plan. What do we do now? I don't have a game plan to move along.
Yeah.
I'm literally improvising. I improvised to the wind. I was just, I had a game plan. And it really...
And the game plan was to last a month though, remember?
It fucked me over.
Yeah.
It was like, so let's see what you're going to do now. We're keeping you. So I was there. Maybe other people had plans. And it doesn't have to say anything about me.
Yeah.
It literally says what it says.
So let me fast forward it a little bit.
Yeah.
You won the money. Came back home. a whole new fame.
Yeah.
A whole new fame.
Very different.
This is not Idris probably alienda airport na begi moja na watu wawili.
Face plus money.
This probably aliondoka na 10,000 tu ya kuhakikisha kwamba amefika. This is just coming back home. An African superstar. $300,000.
Yeah.
First of all, before you land here, what was going on in your mind wakati unatoka kule unarudi nyumbani? As in mentally, where were you?
Honestly. So, I'm drawing back a bit before.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Before you enter the house itself, this is where I commend Big Brother for a good job they're doing. They give you an option for okay, this I've never known the difference between a therapist and psychologist. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but however way.
They use interchangeably sometimes.
That one.
We get it.
Yeah, so they give you an option to meet that person. And I said yes. I mean, at first I didn't say yes. I was like, I don't see the importance. I'm African. This is like white people stuff. What if I do with this person? What are they going to tell me about me? They don't even know me. I'm Tanzanian. They're like South African. Obviously,
different context, pretty much everything.
Yeah. But then I got bored in the there's a lockdown. It takes like 7 days, and then the house got burnt down. So we stayed for like a month and a half. So I was bored. I was like, so who am I gonna talk to? Yeah, I remember that option. So I took that option. I went there, and this lady, and I mean, in my mind, when I see therapy, I'm like, you go there, you sit on the couch and you sleep.
Hollywood did that to you.
I swear to God.
Hollywood did that to you.
I was like, yeah, I think she has. So I entered that room and I was like, oh fuck, there's no couch. What is happening here? Where am I gonna sleep with my head going up and down? Yeah. And there was like a chair, and it was a very comfy one, but the couch was there, but it wasn't my height couch. It's like a 2-seater. I need like a proper 3-seater. Yeah. It's like, where should I sit? That's me asking. Because I'm like, maybe there's another room. She goes like, sit there. Or whatever place you want, you can stand if you can. I'm like, wow, that mind thing you're doing. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna sit here. So I sat on the couch, and then she told me, so what do you want to talk about today? I was like, I don't know. And then she was like, tell me about yourself. And then I told her about myself for a bit. And then I think for some reason we were already in session. That's a good therapy.
The room.
Oh my God, that's bad. So we might have spoken about how I do not commit in relationships. And I do not commit in such a way that I could have held relations for like 6 months to a year, and out of a sudden I will take the smallest mistake, and that's my loop to leave this thing. And it's because I'm like scared there might be something bigger happening next or whatever. Something like that. And we spoke about it, and then I left, and I'm like, I paid for that? What? I could do that with anybody. Yeah. A mirror. So that I was like, see, I was really judging therapists by then with that. And then another type of a therapist came. This time she was white. And she spoke nothing. She gave me a questionnaire of ticking and not ticking. Like, would you like forgive somebody? What? What's going on?
Yes
like,
or no?
Okay, tick.
Yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah. And then for some reason that just qualified me. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And later, after Big Brother, this is where it comes to where my mind was. After Big Brother, they gave me an option to also meet the therapist again. And then they asked me, would you want to meet the same one? I said like, yes. And then there she was. And she was pregnant. So all this time as she was talking to me, where's your mind right now? Like, so when we were talking, you were like pregnant.
What is wrong with you?
Were you judging? Were your hormones right?
Yeah.
So many things, I mean, were really in my mind. But she really did a good session. Because by this time, when I was talking to her, I was recalling what we spoke about. Yeah. And it all made sense. Therapy, they actually don't tell you what you are. They make you realize it as you're talking onto yourself. So if
you do the work. You do all the work.
When
Proper.
said
And you pay them for
speaking in
that.
front of a mirror, that's basically what you're doing.
Exactly. I'm like, it is a mirror, but it's, well, this one is asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Like, proper.
Reflecting and sounding.
And you all need that person who's going to ask you the right questions to make you realize where to fix in what you're trying to fix. Or maybe even make you understand a bigger problem that you never understood before.
Yeah.
So as I was speaking to her, then I was like, like even in the middle, I mean, my mind just went, as I was talking to her,
Yeah.
I think she asked me something and I was like, and she was like, what? Oh no, sorry, what did you say?
Yeah. Like
And then I
things
told
click,
her what happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, by the way, thank you. Congratulations, by the way. Okay. So now she's like, okay, thank you. Now, where's your mind? Exactly the same question. Where's your mind? I'm like, yeah, the fame and the money. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. What? And she asked me, what you gonna do with what? The fame or the money? Right. Hey, I'm not leaving the money. It's so bored.
Yeah.
And she told me, at this point, I think the most important thing is you and not what you've just gotten. You need to understand if you're strong enough to only handle these things and not what these things can do for you. So we spoke about that a little bit, and then that's when I decided to tell the Big Brother team to not give me the money, because I do not know what I'm gonna face when I get there. You know, money brings a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
So I told them, hold it off for 3 months. I think I'll have the right mindset and everything for me to ask for my money. So I came back and I didn't have money, only had the fame. It was crazy as I expected, even crazier than I expected. But then I didn't have the money, which means I was a bit immune to like weird people and weird ideas, even family. And you would never expect the most, but most people who have actually been conned by money, it's been by family, because you already trust them. You trust blood. But they could be the ones to sabotage you and everything. And wait, look at pyramid schemes, man. They tell you, go bring your family. And you bring all of it. Your family is family and your family is family. So at that point, I was like in a good state. And then after 3 months later, I just emailed them like, yeah, I think I'm ready now. Let's get it. I thought I was ready. I mean, what came to me is not even new people. Same people. Like same people I've been with like for years.
Like your Seiko.
Yeah, like my money didn't change me. It changed my people
around you.
And they.
You know what? That just remember for another line by Jiga. When people look at you, once you've made it, people look at you like you've changed. But really, it's the
them.
people around you that they look at you no different. They're like, before you used to got knock on their chips, but now this is the guy we can actually fly us to Zanzibar.
You'd be surprised. That is everything they thought. Wow. They didn't even understand why. After 5 months, I was already getting an office and wanting to start working on things. People are like, what is wrong with you? You have money. What are you working for? I'm like, this is not the money I'm really looking for. I mean, this is only capital. I consider. I mean, you never had that, but but this is gone. So once it's gone, what's happening? Where am I getting?
Yeah.
If there's no flow of cash, there's no cash. You only have some liability or some asset, but then it's money. It's definitely a liability. It's moving down. And by the time the dollar was 2,000, and then it went to 2,600, and then it went to 1,600, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I lost about 40 to 60 million without touching the money.
Because of exchange.
It's just
rate.
dollars going, and then I lost it. And then by the time somebody just called me, by the bank, I was like, I think you don't want to change that money now. And then I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna keep it a bit, and then tomorrow, 40 million gone. And then it was like, do you want to change it now? And I was like, I think yes. And then I changed, and then tomorrow, it went up 2,500. I was like, what?
Oh man.
So I was like, okay, at least now in T shillings, okay, the stability, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Keep it. So I had like 500 million from 680. That's 180.
Yeah.
That's 100 go.
So I had 500 million now. Imagine you lose 180 without doing anything, my friend.
Yeah.
You just being there. That's when you know when you have a voice, use it.
Yeah. So I want to bring it back before we move further. I want to bring it back now. If you were to do that Big Brother thing again and win the money,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do different right now?
I wouldn't do anything differently, honestly. I don't want to lie. I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I would still be me.
But be a little bit more informed you. I'm not saying change you.
I know.
I'm not saying
What would I do differently in terms of actions?
yeah.
Yeah, man, no. I wouldn't change
Any
it.
regrets?
Every regret wasn't within the whole show and everything. It was right after. It was encountering people who already see you for what you have and not what you are. They don't. I mean, you would think you have the same vision with everybody when you're with them, but even within the same company, there's only one person's vision, and everybody else has their own vision in your vision. So are those visions gonna be aligning with yours? You don't know. So everything I would change if I went back to Big Brother and won again was after winning. That's what I would change. And I've been winning Big Brother for like a long time. I've been winning so much.
Yeah.
I'm stable.
Yeah, tell me about the perks of being a superstar in Tanzania. The mental struggles that comes with that.
Oh my God, you said
Are
perks.
those perks?
I don't know.
I don't know,
You said
man.
perks.
Mental
Could be.
struggles are perks.
Could be. Could be.
Lessons.
Let's listen. Let's listen. I mean, I've never been a superstar.
Perks on the
Have
mental.
you ever been a superstar in
I have never.
Tanzania? Sasa.
You guys are
Please
superstars.
tell
I mean, this show is a superstition.
Idris said, maybe there are perks in the best of struggles. I've never been. You've never been. All Idris in this room is up to say yeah.
Tell.
There are perks, but very few will get to the perks. See, the perks is like just consider university. Yes, being a superstar is university. So you have to actually perform well for you to win. So if you do not, it's just like university. You get your grades and you're like, hey, you're doing bad with your mind. Hey, you're doing good with your mind. I mean, if you only just overcome it. And it's not about succeeding in your art or whatever, because art will always be subjective. So it's always about succeeding in terms of being yourself with all the influence that comes at you, and you can still be yourself.
Authenticity.
Oh, that is so rough.
Yeah.
Trust me. You can. And the mind. They always say. I mean, when we're talking about so many minds, the mind of insecurity. That's the strongest mind. I think it's doing like push-ups every day.
Oh my God.
It's so strong. So you can read like I would read 5,000 comments on my post.
Up to now, to get
Yeah, like they'll be like, good, oh, we love you, work. And then all of a sudden this guy like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you just forget all the 4,900 and just stick with one. That's how you know that mind is so dominant.
It's our survival brain.
And you click it, you go, you look at their family. You want to know what is wrong with them
Yeah, why don't you
for them to say that about you. You lurk into their life and you go like, so yeah, I mean, you're failing in life. So that you look for a way to justify why they would say that.
validation.
And after you get that, you feel good about yourself, and then you're like, okay, so that's the wrong person. And then tomorrow you just come up and post, haters will be haters. So what do I call success as a superstar is seeing that and being like, I mean, I respect your opinion. It doesn't matter.
And then I think another thing, which is something Nadia always says, she can speak on it a little bit. Something about I think I've come to realize that too. Like, right now, I tweet a lot. And when people say stuff about me, I feel like it's more about them and less about me.
You see?
I'm like, hey, you have your own issues, you have your own insecurities, you have your life, things that you're dealing with. That have nothing to do with me. You don't know me, I do not know you. So
You don't know what space.
it's cool. I don't know where you are mentally. So it's cool. I mean, it's
Now,
alright, man.
Getting to that is the success of a superstar. And not many will get to that. You see the Iggy Azalea switching off their accounts. You see people.
But me, social media can be rough, you know.
So, hey.
I mean, and this is what I want to ask you this. What, for you personally, this is you as Idris. Because I remember when you started doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah, that was rough. That was so bad.
Yeah, I remember
That was
when you
rough.
started doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I was one of those people. Kwanza kabisa, I couldn't get the British accent.
Did I have it back then?
Yeah,
I
think-
did.
No, this is the thing. Two things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had it. Because people say that you had it, so
Yeah.
it made me kila time kwa siku.
Listen to it proper. Yeah.
Like yani ni kwamba naitafuta. You get it?
It's always the first 5 comments that change whatever comments go under, so you moderate them.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it. So this is Idris. He's on social media. He's trying to do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I love stand-up comedy. So I mean, naturally, it should be like, yes, a Tanzanian is doing it. One thing it should be like, support this guy.
But no.
Support this guy. But then, even getting to social media with that mind, and then you could I'm trolling, and I'm like, it'd be fun to troll Chris Rock just to see how he would respond. So why don't I troll one of our own?
Yeah.
How mentally were you ready for that? And did it break you or make you?
Yeah.
Or
It did both. It broke me and made me every day, honestly. It did break me and made me every day. See, the thing is, it's like going to the gym. Every day you go, you break tissue and make stronger tissue. And then when you can already manage these other little criticisms, something stronger always pushes its way up, and it's always going to be more personal. Somebody will always have like a very little detail, like which is true, and then put with a whole 95% of bullshit. But you're gonna focus on that little thing. Like right now, you will be like, for example, I'm wearing a pink. You would want to attack that if you don't apply to that. Be like, see, I understand what this. I mean, you're like a great artist or whatever, but man, you're too feminine. You're wearing pink. And I'm like, okay, so I mean, I never expected that. So now I mean, I understand you said something nice, but then there's like a whole hell of bad shit you said right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if feminine is bad or it's good, but as long as the public is saying it's not nice being feminine, but we all love feminines. Now I'm confused. Now I don't know to hate you to. Man, fuck you. So there's always something stronger that's gonna come. And you will always be broken. As much as I am strong in my mind right now, I know somebody's gonna break me. I know somebody will find a way to do that. And if I put that expectation, I am way more ready to get it than when I say nothing is gonna break me and that will surprise me. So when it comes, I'm going, yeah, welcome. I expected you.
When Kubusha Jera, I was watching a space. You know, there's a new movie, The Harder They Fall.
Yeah.
It's a nice movie. I watched it. So
no ratings. I don't know why.
And by the way, I love Jay-Z, so I'm kind of biased here. But now everybody knows, anyways.
Yeah.
So so there was a Twitter space, and then Nori ambaye anafanya one of the best podcasts I think, Drink Champs. He just did an interview with Kanye West. So Nori was part of that space, and then Jay-Z was telling him like, oh, you're running the streets now based on the interview for Kwenda. And Nori was, yeah. And then she goes like, you should humble yourself a little bit. So now, Nikki, later with what you said, I think it relates to what you said, Kwamba, you can never be too big and to say, Kwamba, nothing will break me because you will be, something will happen about you, it will humble you if you buy them. No.
You have that quote of mine that I always put, nothing surprises me anymore, honestly.
So, back to you now, and before I bring it, I have some questions to Nadia but back to you now. What is something that has humbled you big time to the point? I mean, at some point you're creative, so as a creative, I know there are moments you're like, nailed this, got it on lock, everything is, this is it, you know, and then something happens that humbles you to the point you're like, actually, I didn't know shit. Have you ever been in that space?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm always in that space. And, well, I think there's one thing that really happened. It just makes you understand yourself better in some kind of a way. You wouldn't place it in one way, but there's a thing about people and humans generally. They only like the underdog. I'll tell you that. They like the underdog and the best of them all. Nothing in between.
So we love you on your way up.
We don't love you on your way up. We love you when you're down, and we love you when you're the best. But when you're the best, we also don't love you that much. We want to bring you down so that we can relate to you. Because we aren't the best at this point.
Wow.
So if you're an underdog and you're doing like, let's say, let's say you're doing a podcast. Okay, you're 47 episodes later. So if somebody comes right now doing like a, you know, something about mental state and stuff like that, things which are relating to the whole mind, and it's like the first episode, trust me, they will go with that person than you are, because they want to see how they're gonna beat you. But if you keep your stance of being the first one, they will love you much for that space. But if they bring this, now understand that if they bring this person up to your stage, they don't like them anymore. They want somebody else who's gonna be there. So it's my God, you can see it in presidencies.
Yeah.
You want to put the president there, that's new. Once he's there, you hate him. You want somebody else. Then you told me, how does that work? How? It's just us. We love the growing process, but we don't really truly love. We don't even know what love is at some point. I mean, people are just, you go onto a post and you see the first 5 posts. If they say nice, you go nice. If they say bad, you go like, okay, now what I saw, I think I'm going to have to think about it twice.
Wow.
And then you just change your mind according to what people have said. Peer pressure is not just when you're young. It's like peer.
Yeah.
It's always peering. So at this point, that's always happening to me. It's always humbling me at some point, trust me. Somebody comes and now it has only given me space to understand I will always have to be 5 steps ahead in order for me to be well.
And how hard is that?
Like, that is too hard, trust me. People ask me, why did you stop doing this? I'm like, oh, you wouldn't know. But
Now the hard part is what? Thinking 5 steps ahead, or people's expectation, and always explaining yourself why you're not doing it.
Now that's the thing, I have stopped explaining myself. I will not
That makes
explain
things
myself.
worse.
And
for people outside.
Properly. And if they like you, they will stay. If they do not, I mean, all in all, your mind will be good. People will always have expectations way bigger than you can process. My God, people expecting God to say back, hi, and he wouldn't. I'm not going to beat that.
Yeah.
What would you want? You always want something. At the same time, I am praying to get rain. At the same time, you're praying to get sun. We both want something. The same with people. Somebody would come on the comments and be like, hey Trace, you're doing Netflix, trust me, they're doing too much of the homosexual stuff, and I don't think as a culture in Tanzania that's going to apply. I'm like, yo, I have no problem with homosexuality, but if you have it, I mean, still, my content does not have to relate to anything. It does not really matter. But you don't want me to go to Netflix now? Somebody will go like, Idris, your quality is on Netflix. I'm like, so who do I work with now?
Yeah.
So I will just do what I want.
Wow.
That's for the safety of the mind. Honestly, you will go crazy if you want to do
You
stuff.
spoke something about safety of the mind, Nadia. Can you touch on that a little bit?
In which context?
No, wait, the context that first of all, this is men
Too many minds.
Yeah, too many minds.
Yeah, Kwanzaa, I want to bring it back to what he said about too many minds. That I don't know how I
Yeah.
skipped that
so
part.
with
but-
that, the self, the human self. This is what we believe. We have different selves. Yeah, so there's the collective person, the us, the person, the Nadia, for example. But inside Nadia, there's Nadia who needs love and affection. There's Nadia who's scared. There's a Nadia, depending on our experiences, we're kind of fragmented inside. And I think those are the different brains. So all these different parts have different needs. You know? And depending on the situation, one need will proceed and will be the most important need
Dominant.
in that moment. The most dominant. As you were saying, one of the minds will override all the other minds.
Yes.
Like, this one is like, no, we need this person in our lives because, fear of abandonment. Who mwingine is like, no, I don't feel very safe right now. I feel like I'm in danger. So this other one is like, no, I want to grow. Okay? So in the situation, so your external determines which part of yourself is going to take precedence. Yeah? And once that happens, integration becomes good because then all the parts help that most dominant need in that moment. So when we're talking about the different minds, it's basically just the different parts of ourselves that are all competing. They're all important.
Yeah.
It's ideal for us to have all of them come together and work together.
It's a debate.
Lakini kuna mida mingine, and this is where a lot of people struggle, is when these different parts of the self are not seeing eye to eye, or not seeing you're most important, and all of them feel that they're important. So now you're what's the word? Fragmented.
Yeah. Too many people.
And it becomes hard to make a decision.
Yeah.
You see, like when you were speaking about the time you're in this very dark space, they were fragmented.
Yes.
But you found that one voice that was very dominant, that pushed you ahead and brought everyone. Yes, most people don't get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't get there. It will take a team of healthcare professionals to get them there. I mean, it takes something to change drastically for them to get there. Others don't get there at all. They succeed at taking their own lives. Yeah, sometimes when we're passive enough, we stop eating.
Yeah.
We stop
Unajifungia chumbani mwezi
functioning.
mzima.
We stop seeing. You're getting sunlight. All that affects your health.
Yeah.
You know, so once like we are all going through all of these different parts of us competing. Like when one of them doesn't kind of feel like this is the strongest need in that moment, we continue to be kind of lost. No decisions will be made because all decisions are important. And now you're paralyzed by choice.
You know, like when they have to make a decision, they all have to discuss and then tell you what to do.
And they need to kind of negotiate. Okay, wewe sasa hivi una umuhimu zaidi. So we'll focus the energy on you. And then tukifika kule, maybe I will also be important enough. Or we will have met these most important ones, and then the other not so important needs will be met.
You know what's weird about that? Science very much simplifies that into involuntary. It's not just that. I mean, see, at this point, I do this, you might flick your eyes. But you never decided to flick your eyes. Your body just did it. But if you bring a baby into the world, and then you're always flicking your hand onto their eyes, and you're telling them not to close their eyes, and then they come and meet people, and when people flick, they will never close their eyes and be like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, because the mind is only remembering what I'm supposed to do. That is what involuntary is. You've done it so much, it's already there in the subconscious. Now it's doing itself, and
it's
people
automated.
Yeah.
Did you lose all the money?
I told you it was negative.
Yeah, he lost the
In my mind, when you said negative, I thought that was before you went to the house.
No. I lost $300,000 and I went into a $40,000 negative.
Wow.
By the time I got to zero.
Why did I think, Kwamba, you're talking about like you had no money before you went to the house?
No.
That was after.
My friend.
So how did you
so
how did you get back up, Idris? Like what was the process? First of all, you going all the way negative. I mean, I live in that.
I keep telling people zero is so big. Zero, no, you appreciate. Zero is so big. When you say you don't have money, I'm like, yeah, thank God you don't have money. What if you don't have what you already owe people? So it was like a whole negative.
You don't have what you don't have.
Imagine.
So I live in that. And you know, didn't know sana person. Especially to know come in here because the busy Mikocheni Tandale. You know, we vicinity. Tunaonana wale. No, we know the stories. And so I'm looking at it now. You lost all the money.
Yes.
Now by the time you were actually out there.
I was already famous.
It's
so pressuring.
You used to be a party person. Yeah, you'd go out everywhere you go. You'd see Idris like partying on all these party scenes. So and narudia tele kijana tu wa Tanzania. You know, mentally. You know, talk about the mental resilience. Before the resilience, kwamba how do you tell people that you lost all the money?
You don't. People will always know. You have no money. People will always know.
You can trust people to
Oh my God, I know. People. Oh my God.
Like people had that figured out because Idris has no money.
Well, they had these little, what do we say, perceptions? Oh, how do I put it? People were guessing because there's always people in your group that are always going to be saying things that you can't give them or whatever, and things like that. One thing that I am really grateful and I've learned through the whole process is always change your life according to what you can afford. And now affording and can, there's two different things between I can afford it and I can buy it. Or I can get it.
They say if you can't buy it twice, that means you can't afford it.
Oh, trust me, you need to buy it 5 times.
For you to be able to say, now I can
At this point,
you
you need to buy it 5 times for you to actually properly afford it. So, when you have money, and you want to change your life, you need to know if you're changing for the positive or it's just because you think that's going to enhance yourself. Is this for you?
I would like to give you the third option. Or you're changing because people expect you to change it.
Exactly. So you have to do this in order to show people that you have this. And that's never going to end.
Yeah.
It's just like the way I always say, I'm not going to chase fashion. Because everybody's always working. People are going to school to make something new. You will never catch it.
Yeah.
Why are you chasing things you can't catch? I mean, at this point, let it chase you. I mean, let them make it to conform to you. I will only move to my own pace. If it's gonna work, at least I mean, what is the main goal of life and being in this world? Is to be happy, honestly. If I am happy, I am successful. And success is a whole perspective. It's according to what you have planned. So if I have 10,000 right now, and you think I'm not successful, that's according to you, my friend.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yes, I think I'm successful. I have planned for 10,000. I'm at 10,000. I am very successful.
But isn't that also some reason about Naitumia not to work hard enough sometimes?
Well, at some point. But then, why should you work hard? I mean, if you have what you need now, at some point, we have always we're creating this thing that if you have to wake up so early in the morning, you're going to be the best. If you have to do this,
You are the guy who told me what to do an interview.
Now,
at 6 in
don't
the
tell me
morning.
what I tell you.
This guy sent me a text like, let's record at 6 in the morning. I just thought it was a joke. It was like, you thank me later. I was like, this guy is stupid.
Okay.
No, let me tell you. No, let me tell you this. I was like, this guy is stupid, right? I mean, who wakes up at 6 in the morning for a blood interview? 2 days ago, I'm like, yo, we're still doing this. It's like, yeah, 6 in the morning, right? And I'm like, are you serious?
And my brain just took me. Honest, I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
Why I always wake up at 3 or maximum 3:30 in the morning.
Monday to Sunday.
Monday to Sunday, every single day, consistency. And I'll tell you why I do that, and it does apply for me. It might not apply to everybody.
It works
you don't,
for you.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Why I do that is because there's too many people in my life. All and mostly important. I understand. You can block them out or you don't have to block them out. But how can you be most productive? I am most productive by 3 to 7.
That's when you're at your best.
Yes, when you get to 7 a.m., trust me, that's afternoon for me. I have finished every single thing and now I can accommodate people's problems.
Yeah.
Because people will inconvenience you. Like it's always that. I mean, when it gets to the AM where people are already waking up, people are going to be like, hey, this and that. And then now you look at what you've done and you compile that you've worked for like 11 hours and you go like, I've actually worked for 30 minutes. Every single point I've had to stop and do something else for like 1 hour and a half or 1 hour. So if I wake up at 3, I can, this is what I do. I even have like what I need to do. I have like a checklist of things I have to do. And they're all for progressing myself. It's, you always have to progress yourself in order to progress. Anyway,
We love that. We love that. We love that. Yeah.
very small things.
Yeah.
I wake up at 3 or 3:30. First thing I do, I make my cup of coffee. And then I'm there. As I'm sitting, I'm learning French. At 3:30 or 3 in the morning.
So you're serious about telling me about?
Yeah, I do speak French.
Is this? This guy's a fool. He's like, what language should I use? I'm like, well, kuna Kiswahili na Kiingereza. Be comfortable. Akaniambia, basi ngoja nitakiacha Kifaransa nitabeba Kiingereza. And I thought he was kidding.
I do. I'm learning French. I need like 7 languages, like proper, like the big languages of the world.
You need them.
I need them. I need to be able to speak to so many.
Considering where
cultures.
you want to go.
Exactly. Okay, that's my plan for like 5 years. So now I'm gonna do French and then I'm gonna go Spanish. After Spanish, I'm definitely gonna go for Chinese, and then I'll work for other things from there.
Nice.
So as I wake up, I study French, and then from French, I get to reading a book. Well, I used to love this whole notion of reading books, but then I want to be honest, I didn't really like reading books, but I like what books had. So what am I gonna do? So I just said, I'm gonna wake up, and if I'm gonna read one line from this book, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be more than I've ever done.
Yeah.
So I woke up, and I read like 3 lines, and all of a sudden I'm like 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, 5 pages, I'm done. And then I'm like, okay. So I started creating a habit of reading books, and now if I stay a day without reading a book, I feel sick. Like honestly. So after reading a book, this is definitely by now like what, 4:30 or something like that. I could play chess, like one game of chess. with an AI or computer or whatever. That's just to like loosen my mind, but still like work within my mind. After doing that, I meditate. I don't have to like do it long or whatever. Now I'll tell you one thing about meditation that's really weird. People think after you're done meditation, you come out and you be like, I can see. No. Meditation.
Shit doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Meditation is about control. It's all about not letting your mind sabotage you.
Yeah.
I mean, see that what we were talking about, having many minds? I need to be part of the discussion. Because if I'm not part of the discussion of those minds, one of them will just come out and do something I do not want. That's when you have something that you're doing and you don't like it, you don't understand it, you keep doing. I'm like, I don't know, I can't stop now, I need a doctor for this. I'm like, what? You were not part of the discussion. So when I'm controlling my mind, it's just weird. I mean, meditation is one of the stupidest and most important things ever. You just
Stupidest. Like, stupid and most important thing in the same
imagine
sentence.
you're just there, you're gonna close your eyes or not close your eyes, you're just gonna count your breath or anything. What you're doing exactly is just controlling what you will do and what you will not do. So they have the saying that there's no wrong meditation, it's just the one that you did not do, that's the wrong meditation. So even if you finish it and it didn't look like it worked, it actually did. I don't know, but yeah, that's what it is. So I do meditation. After finishing my meditation, I do news articles. Now, mind you, this is the thing. I've told you all this process and not in one place did you see me holding my phone. I will only wake up at 3 and my phone is like 6:30 or 7, that's when I touch it. Not even gonna look at the time there. I have a computer for that or whatever it is. Because I am running away from everything else that is not me. Regardless, people like somebody might want for you. Imagine, I mean, they always want. If you have like a family, like close family, you can put your mom or dad or daughter, son, husband, wife, you can put them on that speed dial thing and they can reach you. Everything else, like going through text and notifications, this is like dopamine addiction and things which are not going to work for you. So I will only look at those after I have fixed myself enough to be strong to handle those things. Because if I'm going to wake up and read these messages, now I'm going to be meditating and then right in the middle of my meditation, it's going to be like, yeah, I need to send that woman money. Oh no. Right in the middle of it. So I don't want that. I will read that later. And my spaces can actually handle it properly. Regardless of how bad it is. People are like, I was like, why do you take things so easy? I'm like, yeah, perspective. You're only looking at the bad side of it, but there's another good side of it, regardless of how bad the situation is. There's no 100% something that is bad. Like even death. There's no, I mean, you know this. There's no even death that is bad. Like, some people have died and you're like, okay. We're better off. I mean, but some people be like, that's 100% bad. That is death. I'm like, yeah, bad.
Yeah.
So who is gonna look at that positive side? And I'm not saying things are not bad. What I'm saying is you recognize, accept the bad thing, and then now focus on the good thing because that's gonna make things better. This has already happened. You have no control of it right now. Unless you're very good at resuscitation of that thing, then you can think about it. You can only be bad in a situation for 20 minutes. After that, what you're doing is to yourself. Honestly. From there on.
Yeah, I love that we're doing this interview today, not 2019. Because I'm 100% sure you were not this.
I wasn't.
Like you did not have what you have now.
Honestly,
in your mind.
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're doing it now. Talk to me about the process of getting back up. That was good.
I just sat. It's like, what am I gonna do? Yeah, now I have debts, and now they're really always packed at my door. People owed me money. I mean, I owed them. I don't know what the difference between that, but I needed to pay people. So which is whatever. I owe them, or they owe me.
You owe them.
I owe them. So I owe people money. So I would like come back at home, and then there's a car parked right in front of my gate. Like no car should come out, no car should go in. And I have to tell this person, and that's when I realized honesty will always just set you free. I was always honest with these people. Listen, I have no money right now, honestly, but I'm working on something, and maybe this is gonna help me out here and there. Some were understanding, some were not. I mean, I could accept it. I could only use it as a lesson to make sure I never land myself in this position anymore. So I went back and I was like, so what am I going to do? And then I drafted. I think moving forward, what do I have? This is when I started recollecting. So, okay, I've lost everything, but not everything. That's what people would say. I've lost money. I've lost a few respect, and somehow some people would think that. And okay, that's pretty much it. What do I have? I mean, I let them go. I don't know about losing, but there's some people, if you lose them, you're like better off because now why were there and why did they leave? The reason is just stupid. You know, like if somebody's not going to be your friend because now you can't hang out with them the way you used to hang out with them when you had money, and there's no any other reason, I mean, I don't think you were friends in the first place. You were situational friends. It's not like friendly friends. So after that, I just said, okay, what do I have? Okay, I have fame. Yeah, that's definitely there. And then I have like a following and stuff like that. And then I have influence. I can walk into offices and talk to them. They know of me. So what is that gonna get me? No, yeah, I should work with that. So I started working with that. I drafted my plan, and now I went back to my initial plan, the 1 month plan. And then I went back to that. So I started drawing from that board, and then I started getting endorsements. And now I used my, I would say, experience in working with a agency, marketing agency. So I started drafting my own things. People would ask me by the time, why are you getting more endorsements than other people? I was actually drafting all the plans myself. I wasn't really walking into a company and people were like, yeah, we have a thing and this and this and that. Let's see where you're going to fit in. No, it wasn't like that. I remember when I used to work for an agency, you draft a plan, you take it to the client. If they like it, they give you the job. This is how I was landing things. And this is how I changed the whole industry of endorsement, which was actually feeding only musicians to now feeding more comedians than musicians. That's what I did. Like, basically, walking in, I have this plan. They're going to say, oh, this actually works. We have this thing that's coming up in 2 months. So I think you should add it on to this one. Okay, so what did you ask for? I'm like, yeah, I asked like maybe for 2,000. I think we have like 1,000. Like, yeah, that's better. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to take that, but I'm going to do this job like you gave me 5,000 instead of 1,000. So other
next time you're going to come, my price is going to go up.
You get my point?
I get you.
So people were looking at that and be like, I wonder, oh my God, he must have been paid so much for this. I'm like, oh no, I don't think so. Some of it was actually complimentary, but sure. So they would look at that, and every job I did was an audition for the next one.
Wow.
Because I know they were looking. Before I knew it, I was actually cancelling. I was saying, no, I cannot do this, no, I cannot do that. And now I had a say on the table. I could say yes or I could say no. I had to create a whole standard. And then from there, I started using that money to actually pay people. And then I paid. By the time I got 0, I did a celebration, honestly. I celebrated to get to 0. Me? I celebrated. Every money I got, I did not think I had it. It was just a lesser negative from the bigger negative I had. Now that's another financial problem most people have. When you get 2 million right now, you think you have 2 million. You actually don't have 2 million. There's so much that you need to do, you need to consider before actually spending that. So when you look at that and then you calculate everything, and then now you see, okay, from that 2 million, now I have 300,000 left. How much do I want to spend in this 3,000? But people do the obviously negative way of that. They get 2 million, they spend what they can spend. And when it's left, now they're like, so what do I need to pay with what is left? That's when you have financial problems. You're working from salary to salary to salary. And you will always say, this job is not paying. But okay, now you're being paid 2 million. Last year you're being paid 300,000. Why are you saying it's not paying? Why you didn't even have it? It's just your habitual ways and stuff. In offices, it's so bad. You go into an office and people are like, yeah, this weekend we're going to Magoroto. I'm like, yeah. Is your funding Magoroto based? Like, honestly, this is their habit. It's yours. I'm not saying desocialize yourself, but only socialize yourself in a way where it's not going to leave you off sad in the end. And then you're going to just be there at the office and be like, yeah, this company's not paying well. Where should we go? Like, there's never going to be enough money. Because every single penny you get that potential of spending more than you get. So that's how I did it, and then I paid, went to 0, celebrated.
Yeah, I love when you talked about the process in terms of
you figuring out exactly what I want to do and going for it, because one of the things ambavyo vinaturudisha nyuma sana watu ni that thinking ya kwamba vitu vinaweza vikawa handed out. Na vile vile mara nyingi I don't know kama tunalaumu vitu ambavyo tunakweza, lakini we don't really talk a lot about stories of people saying, you know what, I Given. So I was talking to Given the other day. He told me story yake how he started working with Simba.
Yeah.
It goes back 6 years before now.
Imagine.
Like he would DM mode, they would be through it.
And he wouldn't get a response.
He wouldn't get a response.
I
He
know.
kept doing it. And then when Barbara became the CEO, he started looking.
Until he's here.
No, he didn't even get that. Barbara wasn't responding till one day. I think there was in the WhatsApp group ambapo smart vijana wa Tanzania apparently. You know, you can't get.
I am not there. I don't know. I'm not smart enough.
Whatever. I'm not dissing. But he was in that group, and then something happened to Barbara, so she was looking for help. So Given used that opportunity to say, "Hey, I can help you with try 1, 2, 3, 4."
Oh, Barbara is there.
Yeah, Barbara was in that group
She's
too.
smart.
So she is definitely in your group.
There's so many
We're
people
trying
smart.
to land an issue with more David, so don't win it for us.
No, I mean, I
Don't-
know she's
don't-
a friend. She's very smart, I know, but then she's there and she's not told me about it. I feel so offended.
Yeah, she doesn't think you're smart enough.
I know.
She doesn't want you to be that admin.
You clearly gonna prove. You tend to prove the whole
I
thing.
swear
wrong.
to God. Yeah.
So, so Given akatoa option of how they can actually help. So she responded with that. Okay, thank you. So after that, they Given went like, by the way, your website kuna hiki na hiki na hiki. These are the things that I can do.
Yeah.
She was like, really? Given I'll do it for free.
Take
If
the
you're
job.
gonna like it, fine. If you're not gonna like, if you're gonna like it, cool. If you're not gonna like it, you have nothing
Yeah.
to lose. She was like, okay, what do you need? I need 1, 2, 3. She was like, okay, this is what you need. Let me see what you can do.
Yeah.
So he went in, spent a whole night doing it. Akaja could prove. So she was like, let's meet for a meeting. What else can you do?
Yeah.
So this guy's like, I can do it. And I said, through all that meeting,
I
they
can
were not
tweet.
talking money. I can tweet a lot. But he's saying that through all the conversation, they were not talking money. It was just him saying, this is what I can do. This way should improve.
Yeah.
This is that. So later on, fast forward, now they're actually now working together.
Yeah.
So back then, it comes back to the person, if a person doing this for 6 years consecutive.
Consistency is a
And
issue.
then sisi tupo hapa tu tunamwona leo,
Yeah.
we are like, yeah, you
You
had it easy. So coming back to what you said, like,
Yeah.
look about you being in debt and then had to go on, knock on this company, say, guys, this is what I can do for you.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, do it for free. You're like, poor, this,
Sure.
I use it as a CV. It's a lender. It's a tough thing to do.
It is.
Especially if there's ego attached to it.
Oh, trust me, ego is a big issue. See, ego is like a wall. It stops you from seeing what you can get out of what you wanted initially. Because you come in and you say, I want 200 shillings, and they say, no, we have 100, and ego steps in, no, you only deserve 200. And then you can't think further. You cannot see how much more you can get from that. You cannot see that you can actually pitch for that thing of 100 to somebody else of like 300 or 500. You cannot see any other thing because it's ego. Ego is just, oh my God, but you can cultivate it. I mean, there's a big difference between standing your ground and being egocentric. Standing your ground and having values over what you do is not ego in that sense. But having ego is not also standing your ground. It's a whole confusion.
And how much ni muhimu kiasi gani kuwa na values and principles katika dunia mnayoishi nyie na kazi mnazofanya.
It's so much because, see, back in 2017, I grabbed my diary and then I wrote right at the top, I wrote Oscar. And then I wrote down at the bottom where I am, and it was definitely negative.
Yes.
So I wrote my negative there, but I'm thinking of the Oscar. So that was like a straight line. And then I started drawing tributaries of what am I going to do to get there. So these were just things, and things could pop from those things. I'm not saying like that's going to be like a fixed map that I did. So I did like radio, I wrote there, I wrote like movies, I wrote Tanzanian movies, international movies, I wrote like some Netflixes or the Amazons and stuff. I wrote so many things. Honestly, I did 120% of them, but so many other things came up from them. But why is it important to have that? It's because now you know where you're going. if you don't know where you're going, like tell me we're going to do this interview and don't tell me where I'm going. I mean, I might obviously go like negative direction from here. So you need to know where you're going in order to not be taken off the road, because otherwise now you're doing other people's dreams, and that's what people do most of the time. I mean, I am here and then I come to you, I'm like, yeah, I've loved your podcast, now listen, I think I understand what you're talking about, mental state, but that's not a big thing in the country. I think you should talk sex. How about we talk sex all the time? People love sex. People are like, yeah, that makes sense. You go like, yeah, people, and then now you start doing sex. Before you know it, somebody else is doing your mental thing, and then they're big, and you're like, why did I leave? And then you're in the sex thing, and everybody's in the sex thing. You didn't have a map. So it was very important for me to actually do that. So I could actually map myself to where I am, and people don't have that. You take it for granted, that's it.
Yeah. Tell me about, you talked mwanzo kuhusiana na isha, I think I'm being a proper journalist. You talked mwanzo about the issues you had with relationships and commitment. Where do you think that
I had to
came
drink for that.
where do you think that stemmed from? I'm trying to reel that Nadia in, because this is
a thing.
This is not relationships or what, but or commitment. It's not a thing, but these are the conversations about she usually pack it so well. Like,
yeah, I'm still broken there. I don't want to lie.
No, but tell me, where do you think that stemmed from?
Okay, before Big Brother, I had a relationship. 2 months before Big Brother.
Like the relationship started 2 months before Big Brother.
Yeah, the relationship I had before is different from the one I had after.
Okay.
So the one I had before, and I'm the romantic type, which is very low in a relationship. If you for some reason break into a phone where I'm talking to a lady that I like, be like, who is this? That's why, and I'm not shy about it. I'm like very open-minded. Yes, I'm very open-minded when it comes to these things, because relationships are about the mind, and it's not about what you're doing together. It's just what you plan to do and how you're growing each other. It's always that. And the beginning and the end is so different. So the relationship I had, and then all of a sudden she wasn't talking to me properly, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, just before I went to Big Brother, we broke up. I saw a picture of her on Facebook, and she was with another man, and she was very open about it. So I think she couldn't just tell me, we need to end this, whatever. And the guy was.
So she thought Facebook was it.
Yeah, it was a thing. Facebook was it.
I mean, she couldn't say, but she posted a picture of another man on Facebook.
Honestly, imagine. I think Instagram, the leading person in Tanzania, had like 15,000K. It was like that.
Yeah.
So, I think nataka kulewa. I think Diamond.
Nataka kulewa.
That's the time. So I was like, oh my God, that was so bad. The guy was well off. So it changed my whole concept in the mind. Now you need to make it. So I didn't even want the money that I was going to do, but it even pushed me harder. Now I'm going to get this money so nobody can really, mess with my relationships. As long as you're going to be the biggest man in the room, but that's never going to happen, trust me. There's always going to be a richer guy in the room, and if that's the perspective of how you're going to be a man in the room, oh, trust me, you will be disappointed. It's always going to be that. Somebody else will come with power and they will take, and it's not even about money. It's going to be an issue. So we broke up, but that changed my mind. But I was in Big Brother, and Big Brother asked me, who do you want to see in here? And I said, my ex-girlfriend. I want her to see where I am right now. It was very vengeful. It was very clear. I'm like,
you are petty.
Woman, come see this. You need to see. This is international. That was just Facebook. So I'm like, okay, but he was like, okay, I see. But he never brought her. He brought my mother instead. And there was this thing about freeze, and then somebody comes, a relative, and they talk to you. And my mother has called. My mother always tells you what you want to hear without telling you what you want to hear. I think she partly made me win, I would say. She just came in and she just said, Idris, respect yourself. And then she left.
That's all she said.
I mean, what? So I sat on the corner and I was like, what am I doing? That needs to be respect. And then I calculated and I was like, yeah, I can see. And then I went to that and I changed it and I won. I mean, it was just that. I mean, I could definitely tell it's because I changed women in the house. And I was just doing it because I thought I need to hold on into a relationship. But it wasn't about that, honestly. But you just need to be yourself.
But did that change your view of relationships after?
No, it did not. It just changed the game. I went out of the house, and my mind and perspective is always like almost 90% of the men. You need to have the best girl out there. Now, what is the best girl? That always changes. The best girl is the girl that every man is gonna like. That's what you need to have. That's according to every man. If you have a woman right now, honestly, and people are just gonna be like,
Remember,
she's
I'm
cute.
married, so
Yeah.
with
So
the
imagine
things
you
I'm
have.
saying, right?
Oh well, you're already married. That's like.
like what's the most that could happen, right?
But honestly, there's divorce.
Yeah.
So, or death to one of you.
Yeah.
Until death does
Yeah.
us part.
Yeah.
So, what happens is most of the men, like most of us, honestly, given the perspective, if I get a new woman right now and we're in a good relationship, and then all of a sudden, just some guy comes and like, Ish, you're dating her. Okay. Ish, okay. Man, I thought you were dating like that because that one is like way better than the one you're with. I'm like, so you start thinking about her twice. You start doubting, then you start looking for things to break up the whole relationship. And all of a sudden you're just breaking it because some other people did not appreciate her the way you thought it was. So you're only in a relationship according
For
to
them.
Yes. If you have a girl and your boys are not gonna like her, or people are not gonna like her, or for celebrities, if I'm gonna post with my girl and you guys are not gonna be all over her, nah, that relationship is ending. I'm telling you, it's ending right there. I mean, that's the whole perspective.
Yeah.
So when I came out and I had a relationship and then it went bad and then I was still sticking to it and then it went bad. Not gonna get into the details, but it was oh my God, I don't want to lie, that was the worst relationship in my life. And I ended it a month before ending it. That's how bad it is. It's that type of relationship when if you want to end it, you need concrete proof and facts to land on the table like a law degree for you to actually say now this and this and this and this and this is why I am living. And they're going like, bat! And you go like, how do you know that this and this and this were done? Listen to this. Look at this.
Well, James Bond or what?
My friend.
Yeah.
I had a folder. It was written investigation and it was zipped. I'm telling you, that's how bad it was.
invested with that.
I was properly invested in that breakup. I was invested a month of how to break up and live peacefully. I did succeed.
It's not peacefully, man. I'm not going to pick up.
Oh, trust me, it was peacefully. Compared to how it would have been. No, that's another perspective.
Yeah.
So when I ended it, I was happier. I think I was really, really happy. At some point, you don't have to hold on to anything that is deteriorating you just because other people are saying that's good for you.
Yeah.
And people keep saying, why would you do that? That's gonna be good. I'm like, you've tried to convince me, but no. Sometimes you might have a point, but no, you don't have a point. In a broad perspective, and that's how I ended it, man. Now that broke everything. This is where I'm ending this whole relationship thing. That was the last relationship you saw publicly of me. From there,
Lesson learned. That was lesson
you
learned.
see my point?
Yeah.
From there, all my relationships were private. None to this day have I placed them publicly. You've heard rumors, you've heard this and that, but none of them have come out of me. But I've given an option to the lady that I'm dating. Not now that I'm dating, no, now I'm not. But, but by the time as I am dating, I've always given an option to the lady. Would you want your life public? This and this and that could happen. You cannot live peacefully because of this, but if you can actually endure it, because this is an endurance, if you can endure this, then I think it's okay. If you see the positivity in it, then it's okay. There's a reason to why celebrities are dating celebrities, because they're already handling the whole thing. Once you date somebody who is not a celebrity and then you bring all their life
game to
Yeah.
And you gotta be fair.
I am properly fair. That's why my relationships, I've always told them all of this. That's why they'll be like, I think I don't want that. But most people would put their relationships public, and then you just put your woman into depression or your man into depression. Because now you have somebody that's just gonna, like, you find it easy because you've trained yourself.
Yeah.
But somebody's just gonna come, like, let's say you're a celebrity right now and you put your wife. and then maybe your wife has like one gray hair, and somebody's like, you're dating an old woman, and then she just reads into that.
Yeah.
And she goes into this depression. And she's not gonna tell you that was the thing. You just see her treating you differently because she thinks like you're the one that got people to tell her that. And that's what she's blaming you for. But that's when I just don't put my things out there.
Nadia, tell me about people.
Analyze me. That's what you're saying.
I mean, can you do that? Like right now, Nadia, in this episode, analyze Idris. Yeah, but no, I'm just saying. I'm just wondering in terms of. I know we've talked a lot on a lot of episodes, and I wish this is something about you. I wish this come out Tanzania tuweze kuelewa as a whole. I always talk about empathy kwenye social media because
EQ.
Because it's we've lost the sense ya kufikiria kwamba Idris ni binadamu. So now tunataka Idris has to work twice as hard ili awe normal kama sisi wengine tulivyo. Because I don't work twice as hard to deal na issue ambazo you're dealing with. For me, I'm cool.
You only comment. You only buy about.
I mean, my Instagram account was locked. You know, and very few people on. Now, other people that I've followed me pretty much, I know most of them quote you out about it. It's
somebody talks bad, you're at their door.
I'm like I'm pulling up like.
Nigga,
what's up? Yeah, I'm outside. You know what I mean? But let's talk about we as a community and the importance of empathy. Because you look at what Idris has been through, but then you look at him, like right now, he's had that introspection and at least he's been strong enough to deal na hivi vitu na
1 out of 100.
But it's 1 out of 100 because tunajua celebrity people who were famous then, na ukiwaangalia sasa hivi wameisha drugs use and drug abuse. I mean substance abuse.
Yeah.
What about maisha anyway? He talked about how we love tearing people down, especially kama we think you know you're not one of us. Na vitu kama. Talk to me about how can empathy actually help.
Well, it can help a great deal. Kwa sababu when we talk about empathy, tunaongelea if I were in Idris's shoes, how would I feel? You know, how would I behave? You know, if I had won all that money, mimi ningefanya nini?
Nikikupa breakdown utashangaa. Kuna jamaa anakuambia kwanza crown moja matata, na pili toto mbili tatu za kwenda nazo beach kwanza.
That's superficial.
Chawa kadhaa, you know.
This kwa sababu ukikaa ukaangalia hypothetically, hata mimi nitasema okay, I'll invest in this and that, but you don't have that money. You're thinking from the space of I don't have this, so I will do this. Lakini when you're in that position, what would you actually do? You know? So when we're talking about empathy, we're not talking about, if I'm an outsider, bird's eye view looking into this person's life, I would do this. No, unajiingiza in the person's shoes to see, mimi ningekuwa hapa. And you're not looking at how they would have done things differently. You're looking at, this is what my life is like. This is what's happening to me now. Najisikiaje? Ningependa watu wanitreat vipi? Like, how would I want people to engage with me? That's empathy. A lot of the times, we would then treat people differently. Kwa sababu ungekuwa wewe ungetaka watu wakusimange, wakuseme, wakufanye hivi na vile. You know, you'd want people to treat you like who you are. A worthwhile human being, you know, who is capable of mistakes and of greatness. You know, the people around you, what would you want from them? Wakuangalie tu as moving dollar signs? Or as the person that they grew knowing, or they spent time with, that they, you know, created a bond and connection. So tukiongelea empathy, I think it's most people don't empathize simply because it's hard. I mean, it's one of the core skills of being a therapist. You pay me to empathize, basically.
Yep.
Because if I'm not empathizing with you, I'm really not helping you dig deeper, see what's happening in your life. Because I'm not trying to understand where you're coming from.
I have a quote for that.
You know, so it's hard. I mean, if you're paying a whole if not even paying, I'm going to school for 6+ years.
Imagine.
To
learn how to
listen.
Be in your shoes and listen. It's not easy.
Do you understand why men cannot hold a relationship? We can't listen for shit.
No, but is it men can't listen?
Oh man.
Nah.
Yes.
No, it's something that it's possible, man. It's a skill. It's not something Nadia kazaliwa nayo. Nadia kajifunza.
You're right by the
You know?
This man not being able to audition because we can't listen. I just
But
thought about it.
I mean, mnazaliwa na the ability to listen. Okay, so you can hear. You have the physical, technical structures.
Oh my
Za
God.
kusikia. Yeah, but listening is a skill.
Yeah. A tough one, not just a skill.
You know, it's a tough skill.
Yeah. Knowing what to say and choosing not to. I mean, how many times did you know what to say right now, but you still let us speak? I mean, you know how it hurts.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's hard work.
It is.
And as we said, you know, doing the work is the shortcut.
Yeah.
So if we do want to live in a world where we still have wars and hunger and people are still suffering, it's because these skills that will help us be more human are hard. You know, humans are we're just animals who can think. And majority of us don't even use that ability to think, just by the way. We automate everything from templates to mejifunza from childhood, and we're just going about our lives on autopilot, tunafanya tu.
Memory.
We're just doing. But we don't know. We're not in the moment. We're just working from what we already have, what has been encoded, and ndo tunavyoenda. Mtu akikuzingua sao this man or this woman hafai. But we're not seeing our perspective. Unaona, maybe from your growing up, you've learned that, okay, if it's too hard, you leave.
She said something very important. We're not in the moment because we're either in the past or in the future, but never where we
We're
are.
not here.
So it's what could I have done? What should I do?
Eh.
But not what am I doing?
Exactly, and that's what you're saying. If someone was to have that money, they would think, I would do 1, 2, 3. They're looking to the future. They're not there with that money. They're into the future. If I had this, I would do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Or if I were Idris and I got that money, then ningefanya 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Huyu jamaa anapiga piga.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to, and zote, especially the positive thing or the good thing ni kwamba hivi vitu vyote tunavyoviongelea ni skills that we can learn. Ni sasa commit to making that commitment and being consistent. You know, to say, okay, this is what I want to do. Committing, having the discipline to actually stick to it, and being consistent enough to follow through. Wengi wetu hatuna hivi vitu vitatu. It's either we're lacking discipline, or we're lacking the consistency, or we don't have the commitment. We don't think it's important enough. Like, why must I empathize with Idris? He doesn't know my life.
But it's true.
Yeah.
What are if somebody asks you, what are your core values of the as a man?
Core values? Actually, that's a tough question. What is that?
What are the things you stand for?
I don't
What
know.
are your principles?
Yeah, I don't know.
What are the things you don't compromise?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Paka nimefika na kupata.
You know them also.
Yeah.
What are the things that you don't compromise?
Yeah.
Kabisa. Now what are the things that you can compromise? What are the do's and don'ts? Yani nimeamua ku dump it down kabisa.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, they're pretty much categorized into career and life. It's like different. You can balance them, but you can never put them together or even choose one over the other because things need to happen both at the same time.
Yeah.
So the balance is very important. Once you lose it, that's when people are confusing and complaining. One thing, I always have to stand with my goal, but respect everybody I work with, regardless of what position we have. That's one thing. So if you see me working, that's one thing that you would see. I would say hi, even to people that you wouldn't expect me, and they're always shocked. Like, I have a culture, and I started practicing it actually. As I would drive off to the main road from my house, because it's early morning, that let's say I'm going to the gym, 6 a.m. It's like a little bit dark, depending on the season. So as I'm driving, I would see somebody like cleaning the road or whatever, and they would see me because my windows are very clear. I'm like, huh? Like they're surprised that I'm actually waving at them and smiling.
Yeah.
But then it makes me remember one thing. You might be so depressed, but some little kid will just come, and you go like, hi, and you're like, oh my God, they just made me happy. So naturally, I'd be like, I think my goal, now this is where I'm telling you what my value would be. I just want to make people happy because by then it makes me happy. It's not necessarily for me, it's for them. And when you do something for somebody, you feel fulfilled. So I want to do that. Some people would just do that kwa kutoa sadaka. When you kutoa sadaka kanisani, msikitini, you go like, I think I've done something, now I feel good about myself.
I'm laughing because we had this discussion the other day with some Danara. We did an episode on black tax, and he said like one of the best feelings about it tonight part is when you're able to help a person out. Katom photos like when you send money to your mom.
You feel so fulfilled.
You feel so
exactly.
Good.
You start
to come over like here with nothing. But you actually say it because it feels so good.
And naturally that's what you do. So one of those things is I do that, and it makes people understand their own I think I'm valued, or I think people just need to feel valued. That's when my empathy levels just come in. Like when you make somebody feel valued, they can do their potential. Like literally. When they don't feel valued, like when you just cross and then you just see somebody and be like, okay, something is wrong with me, and then they start questioning themselves, and they spend half of their life questioning themselves instead of doing what they need to do. So that's one thing. Moving from that, another thing that I would say I would not compromise is religion. My religion is very important. And I would say why is because I think it makes me look forward to something. Looking forward to something is quite important. I think that's what everybody's losing. That's why you need to leave from... People are scared of themselves nowadays. Like, you just don't want to be with yourself. I don't understand how would you be bored? I mean, what is boredom? At what point don't you have something to do?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you have something to do? Are you there where you need to be? Why aren't you doing something about it? I mean...
Elon Musk is still working. He's the
Even-
richest man on earth.
It's not even making sense why you would be bored. I have this friend of mine like a few days ago, and I'll be like, we just met, and we were like there for like 1 hour, and then as this person was leaving, I'm like, so you're going home now? Go like, no, I'm going out to smoke shisha. I'm like, but why don't you go home and sleep? I'm like, no, but I'm just gonna be with myself, and it's gonna be. What do you mean be with yourself?
What is wrong with being?
What is wrong with being with yourself? I mean, people are really scared. That's why everybody needs to go out. Nobody has spent time. People know other people more than they know themselves. It's because they spend time with other people. So you know me, I know you. I don't know me. Like literally, because I don't spend time with myself. That's what people are scared about. So that's another thing that I really set my goals to, in understanding myself, and I would never compromise that in any how. That's why I'm doing these goals, like waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning to just build myself as I'm going there, and then I put my religion forward there so that I can look forward to something. Yeah, looking forward to heaven makes you just do good stuff. You know, stuff like
Sidebar.
that.
Kwa conversations zinaendelea kuhusiana na atheists na watu kutuamini Mungu yupo on social media, and people saying there's no God. I mean, I understand freedom of expression, but they don't.
You can do you. I do me. I respect you. You respect me. I will not talk about what you know.
Yeah.
And you don't have to speak about anything. Let's be safe. And Africa is sensitive to religion.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God, I don't know. It's more sensitive than them who started the religion themselves. It's just that. At some point you just think like, yeah, maybe God is not coming because, hey, my God, they're handling these people. It's like a whole thing. Like, I'd rather stay in heaven, honest. I'm not going to respond. I'm not. At the same time, the thief is saying, God, help me. Can you imagine? This is my son. I need to help him. He's going to die. But he stole. Okay.
Do you consider yourself a leader right now?
Very much. I study leadership every day. But leading now, that's a perspective.
And I'm saying this because if there's one thing I love about you, there's one thing I honestly do, and I don't think if I ever said this, if I haven't, then this day I'm saying.
Yeah, you never say your stuff, man.
But so, you know, you don't get this, so I can proudly say.
Yeah.
One of the things I love the most about you is you always stand for what is right, and that has landed you in trouble sometimes.
Very much.
But
All time.
if there's one thing about you, I think everybody else would say about you is you would not see Kitambacho. It's not right. It's happening. and for you ukanyamaza.
I wouldn't.
Even katika times ambazo wengi tulikuwa tunaona kwamba
This is
really this is sio muda mzuri wa kuongea au as much as tunajua lakini hatuna confidence ya kusema, you would speak out.
Thank you.
How has that been for you? Like, is it something that you feel like I have, because you lose nothing with Kinyamaza Kinga, by the way.
Yeah.
You lose nothing with Kinyamaza Kinga, but why do you feel like there's always a need for you to speak up?
Honestly, they say seeing wrongdoing and not saying anything about it is definitely doing it. Because if you have the power to say something about it, regardless of how it's going to end you or land you somewhere, and you think that what you're going to say is going to change a lot that is happening, you might as well say it, because you're doing the best for everybody. But people are not clearly looking at the whole goal, but they look at themselves when they need to speak about something. So I would rather shut up and let it happen, even if it actually is going to affect me. And sometimes people are not as envisioned to see how this is going to circle back and hurt them. If I'm going to speak of it right now, I'm definitely breaking the chain on my standard. Nobody who likes me or knows me will do this, because I've told you this is not something I like. So if you do it, it's going to be on your own. You're starting a new chain, but I broke it over here. But if I keep quiet, it just will flow or will not flow. And that's something that might hurt me or doesn't hurt me. It's a circle. It's just a circle of everything. So I do lead by example. I mean, now when they say leadership is perspective, some people think leadership, you have to sit there on this chair and everybody has to bow down. Now that's not leadership.
I mean, with you guys and the famous people look up to you to say stuff.
You're an automatic leader because people are listening to you.
Yeah. And this is what I'm telling a lot of famous people. I'm like, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. I mean, you have the plan, and I understand it. And from perspective of mental health, I understand where you might be like, this is not what I need right now. But then kuna demands za kina sisi za kina Nadia about we follow you, and we want you to say something about it because it is simply the right thing to do, and you have the platform that we do not have.
So you need to speak of it.
So you need to speak of it. As a matter of fact,
But there's a problem to it. There's a problem to it now. The thing is, you have social media and so many people are doing things, but people have agendas.
Yeah.
Especially in the political perspective. You have to be very careful. What you're saying, is it what you really believe?
Yes.
That's everything you need to think about. You have seen me speak, but so much more have been happening, more than I have spoke for. Why did I choose not to speak on the other things and chose to speak on the other things? It's because I clearly saw the agenda. And I did not. And at most times, people with agenda have thought I am with them because of their agenda. And then they say, okay, he is definitely AWOL. He's doing this in his own mind. And at some point, it has also confused the government because they have thought maybe, and we have, sometimes some people in the government are very weak-minded. Some people in the government, definitely weak-minded. And we always compile them as one. You would say something like, I don't think the police are doing the work. Not really. You would not in any day say the police are not doing the job, because are you safe right now? Because do you know how many people can just walk into this building and just kill you and just walk away with everything? But they cannot, because they're afraid of something that is the law, which is definitely being implemented. There's always going to be something to upgrade in something. So when you have people in the mind that are not as strong-minded in something, then they see Idris would just come up and speak about something, then they go like, he's the opposition. Oh my God, really? I mean, you yourself know that I'm right. But you would say I'm the opposition because I spoke. And you didn't? But when me and you sit and speak, you actually say the same thing? But if I speak it louder, I am opposing? So what is opposing? Is stating what is wrong and can be upgraded? But at the same point, some people are also wrong in saying these things. This applies even in life. I mean, I could see you right now and I could see you doing something bad. How I say to you and what I say to you are two different things, honestly. So some people are really stepping it bad. I can't go up. Okay, I see something right now, Michael, you're doing. Like, let's say maybe you're biting your nails. I'll be like, that is a shit habit, you're biting your nails. Trust me, it's not going to change a thing about it.
Yeah.
But if I say, don't you think that's definitely going to make you sick? Because you might have dirt under your nails and then you're just going to eat it and you're going to be sick. And then I think you're not going to go to work because you might need to take like a week off. Then you can relate to that more. But I simply say the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what people do, opinions on social media. You just come and say, government is shit. Okay, now nobody's gonna listen. Like
the other person's gonna come in. No, government is not shit. And then it's gonna be a whole. Man, I hear you.
At this point, nobody's gonna listen to you, regardless of how right you are, my friend.
Yeah. As we're winding up, my guy, I think this is the best interview you've ever been in.
I don't know.
I think so. I mean, we keep bringing it back. He knows it. I know it. You know it. We might as well say it.
Yeah.
As we're winding up, have you ever, ukija hapa Tanzania, have you ever thought kuna umuhimu wa have you ever looked for a therapist in Tanzania? Or you feel like there's no need?
That's a weird surprise. I gotta tell you something, and this is like some funny weird shit. Before I was taken by my favorite police people.
You're trying.
Yeah, like 2 days before. And you'd be surprised. I think people who love me the most in this country are the police more than my family.
Really?
I've never in any point been caught by the police and they were like, you're doing this wrong. They were literally like, so what do we do now?
Wow.
These are people with me. I'm like, they were also like, Idris, I think something is wrong. What is happening?
Yeah.
We sat and discussed. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, I'm not gonna ever say like, police are not doing this. There's like a bigger force, and sometimes you have one person who is just going to have to control the whole narrative.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So, as 2 days before I was taken by the police, the second time, I was like, I think I need to find out more about my relationships. I think my relationships is one part that I've not been able to work like properly. So as I was talking to a friend, it was like they give me a name of this lady. Somewhere in the consultancy, it was like it's like pink flowers and stuff. Yeah. So
You know it.
Yes. But her name,
Annie.
Linkst.
Annie.
Yeah, Annie Linkst something.
Surname is good.
Yeah, so that surname. So here's the funny part. I looked at the surname, and then there was like two of them, and then the sister of the therapist was like, okay. It was like something about Playboy or something. Like, yeah, it was like, oh, that's interesting. I think I need this. I think I need this, like, really. Yeah. So I emailed and I was already preparing a session to go there. But then in my mind, I'm like, I think she's going to be doing therapy, but I'm going to be doing therapy to her as well. Just to know what's happening. So I was so interested. And then, the police took me. And then I was like, yeah, I was kept safe for a few days and then came back later. And then I think I might have wanted to resume. But yeah, at some point I've really wanted. It was all about curiosity. It wasn't about like, I'm too broken, I need to fix me. No. It was more like, maybe there's something I'm not really tapped into.
Yeah, and I think Nadia can speak on it a little bit, but I think that's the thing about therapy more. It's not about you having problems all the time.
Yeah.
It's about somebody say it helps you to think out loud. You know? And that sometimes I feel like when you have a therapist, you can really say stuff that you can never really say it out.
It's like the Snow White mirror. It talks back to you.
It talks. And like Nadia said, they always make you look cool. Like, like, don't worry, you're not weird for saying that. Even though in your mind you're like,
have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I've seen Ted Lasso.
There's this part when Ted Lasso was playing darts, and the guy just threw darts on the dartboard, and he thought that he was really winning against Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
But then Ted Lasso had like purposely not done a good job in the first sets, and then after that, as he was on the end, he acted stupid. Reminds me of, don't be the smartest man in the room, just be the one with the most knowledge.
Wow.
It helps. Sometimes you can keep quiet and let people talk if that's the thing. So Ted Lasso just asked somebody close to him and was like, how much do I need here to win? And she was like, you need 30. So everybody was like, he's not going to win. So as he was throwing darts, he was saying this, with my father, if you had asked me I used to play darts with him every Sunday, and he was winning.
Yeah.
This point, he's talking and throwing darts like exactly what he's going to do. If you had asked me, I would have told you I played darts with my father every Sunday. With that, I got to be the best in darts. Which tells me to tell you one thing, and I read this somewhere. When you see something, do not be judgmental. Be curious. Just because it doesn't apply to you, which makes you understand every single thing.
Wow.
If something is just happening and it's not something you would usually do, don't just already judge it. By judging it is not asking questions. You're literally condemning.
Yeah.
You're giving it a label. What? No, come on. Why would you do that? I mean, that is not even a question. That is already something like you're not supposed
You've
to do.
already
That.
made a...
Exactly. So I would ask questions. So that reminds me of that situation. Just be curious,
Be curious, yeah.
not judgmental.
Very
So
judgmental.
at this point, I would say something very weird. Like I think that has even changed me. I think I might walk in on my girlfriend on top of another man, and I'd be like, I'd sit and be like, okay, now why would you do that?
You're not gonna pull out your gun.
No, I'm like, I need to understand. I mean, man, it's okay. Do you want to leave? You can leave, but I think.
Oh,
we
I
should
can step
have-
outside in money.
We can have this talk together. I think there's something wrong I'm doing, and you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So
What
help
is
me.
it? Mano y mano. Man to man, tell me, what are you doing right? That I'm doing wrong.
Curiosity.
Curiosity, my guy.
Curiosity is very important.
Curiosity.
Empathy really relies on curiosity. You
There
need
you
to be
go.
curious enough about what's actually in this, what's going through this person's mind
Ask the right question.
in this moment.
Proper.
You know? Because empathy isn't just me sitting there and saying, okay, this is how Idris is feeling. No, it's me asking the right questions to understand what Idris is feeling. You know, to understand in that moment what was going through your head.
Proper.
You know? So it's being curious, being engrossed. And no matter, like in therapy, we were talking about this before we started recording, about, you know, some people fall in love with their therapists.
Yeah.
Not because you're in love with them, simply because this person is like fully invested in getting to know you and understand your world, so that they can help you understand your world a bit better through that reflection. It's just a reflective
That's a
process.
very good thing when you say, I think therapists, all they are is curious. They're just curious to understand what is going on with you. They're not judging you. I mean, all you need is not to be judged. But you know what you're doing is shit, my friend.
But sometimes that's
Yeah.
validation.
Do you see?
Yeah, nachofanya ni ujinga mtakwambia no, sio
Oh my
ujinga.
God. And this is social media right now.
Yeah.
Like, especially to women, they would come up and be like, I just want a man who's got like the money and stuff. I just don't want to work for my life. And then like, and she would just be friends with people who would be like, yes, girl, go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then years later, she would come, I just want my own money. I don't want men who are just going to be giving me money. They're just going to be running my life. And then people are like, yes, go, go.
I get. I can go back to space again at the heart of the fall.
Yeah.
Jay-Z talked about social media being algorithm. It will always bring up people who agree with you. So they end up validating unachofikiria.
Yep.
Na ndio maana mtu akiandika kwamba something controversial, yeah, always mara nyingi utakutana na watu ambao wanakubaliana naye, and then they end up forming their own cycle kwa sababu these are the people ambao wana align na mawazo yetu. And that is why I think for me it is super important to actually have conversation on social media. Hiyo moja. Pili, not to block people who disagree with you. Come on, ongea na you respectfully.
And let them.
Curious, yeah.
Don't.
let them.
Because there's always things that you learn from that.
How do you develop?
Yes, how do you, if you don't do that, you don't develop. And then go back to being humble a little bit. Kukubali kwamba ni you might be the master
Yeah.
of what you do, but there's always room your way to improve. Now that might come from learning a little bit more. Nipa mfano mtu nikamwambia mara nyingi kukutana na wazee wa zamani, yani wale ambao people who have believed ambao wameishi maisha na vile, they will never tell you kudivorce na mtu wako. Because no, kuna extreme cases, issue kama za violence, issue kama za, you know, kuna issue ambazo ni extreme kabisa.
Yeah, they all resolve
No,
to
but-
just speak together.
Yeah, but then kuna issue ambazo mara nyingi sijui issue hizi kubwa, they're like, because some of them they've seen it all.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, come on, calm down a little bit. Can you talk about it?
Oh, I wanna go home. You should go home. Kaa nyumbani mwezi miwili. Think about it. Then tukae tukutane because nothing beats experience. And this is why it's always important to conversate. Now, hata kama you don't agree with them, because there's always things about there's a conflict. Like in social media, tena. Many nimwambia mtu kuna mtu ashaniambia, well, what do you know about radio production? Wow. I'm like,
that is not even a question.
I'm like,
it has a question mark,
And I'm like, this is what I've been doing for the past how many years?
What do you mean?
Mimi ni mwanafunzi pale TSJ nasoma. I'm like, wow. Ni mwanafunzi unasoma now? I mean, you could have told me kwamba Michael kuna vitu ufahamu, like in saying, what do I know?
I mean, that is, oh my God.
Hii ndio inalipa bili ya watoto wangu kwenda shule. I'm like, what?
Hey, too many gods are walking the earth. I swear. Too many gods are judging. I mean, like, everybody's judging.
So I feel for you guys who are celebrities, who are up there, and then who are active. But kuna wengine wameamua tu, they'll come in, post wanachotaka kukufanya, update, and then go off.
You have to run and
lakini nyinyi ambao wewe ambaye kila siku natoka conversate na sisi, keep up to date with mambo yanayoendelea huko na nini, it's hard,
But you need to assess yourself. Like, I think the self-awareness is important. Do I have the mental strength to deal with this? Because there's nothing wrong with you challenging the narrative.
True.
People believe one thing, but you're there, you're trying to, in a way, you're educating. You know, you're allowing people to get to know you.
Yeah.
You know, so when people point out perhaps their version of negatives, or they point out what they feel you're lacking, you get to learn how perhaps the public views you.
You need to see the
you
perspective
know?
of that.
But you also get the opportunity to show them, okay, this is what you believe, but this is the reality for me.
But also, man, you gotta talk about there's some people who get off by seeing you mad.
Yeah.
I know nikimjibu akiwa amemind, my day is made.
But if you have
If
the
you look
mental
at my
capacity
response.
to deal with it, then you could find it entertaining. I mean, for some
mental
people find it
strength.
entertaining. Yeah,
Mental
mental strength is all you need.
Mental strength.
And once ushaji assess ukaona, okay, mimi sina ile capacity ya kukaa, itanikera. Itanikera. So why unaenda?
Do you know what people
Oh,
hate the most? Is when they say some really bad stuff and you respond to them nicely. I mean, they hate it. And I do so.
They're not expecting it.
With kindness.
Oh, very kind. And I sometimes inquire. Like, I would ask, so how would you do it, please? And they would just be like, I don't know, you would be knowing this. So how did you know I didn't do it right? If you think there's a better way to do it, fuck you. Very mature,
Very mature. Idris, my guy, thank you for coming through. This has been a very good conversation, man.
Yes.
And again, I repeat what I said, Komba, I love where you are right now mentally.
Thank you.
And I'm glad we've done it in 2021 towards the end.
Me too.
Kwa sababu problem tungefanya then sijui kama tungepata.
It would have been the shallowest you have ever done.
I know, man. So I'm glad really. If there's one thing, I always love asking this question. If there's one thing that mtu akisikiza tukakuta tumezunguka hakuna chamana tulichoongea. If there's one thing you love them to pick from this episode, what would that be?
Wow. That question. Remember the goal. I think that's very important. In the end, when everything is going wrong, you have to draw back and remember what was the main goal. If you remember the main goal and you see the issue, then everything else is just going to make sense. I tell this to my people in the office. We have like big things. People always ask me, Idris, you're doing big things. I don't see them. I don't see big things because I don't see things in how big they are. I see very small things. Like, that's why we always procrastinate, and that's a bigger problem for everybody. I think that's a whole session. Yeah. I always see things in like the small pieces. Like right now, I have a show I'm going to be shooting next week for Netflix. It's about 80% Swahili. And I wrote the story, I pitched everything, they brought it. We did like 4 or 5 drafts. But when I took it to the ministry, I'm like, oh my God, this is so big. And I don't see it that way, but I understand what you're saying. You're very...
Are you bringing the news right now? Like
that's me telling you.
we have a Netflix show coming.
I do.
Wow.
That's like something I haven't told.
Oh, but this is the thing though. I cannot wait to go back. And you know, about people who diss the film back came out.
I understand.
Bigger picture, guys.
The bigger picture was me being there and having a voice to actually say, do you see what we did? I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the whole goal. It was
Wow.
getting our foot in. There was no Tanzanian with the main role in Netflix ever, regardless of the role being bad or good. Like there was none. So if you want to make it better, you have to do something. Like if you need to eat an orange, you need to endure peeling it, which might not be a nice thing to do.
Wow.
It might be tough for some people. You might be given a spoon and told to peel a bloody orange.
Yeah.
So if you think about only peeling, trust me, it's not gonna work out. But if you think about, I am gonna eat an orange after this really bad thing, then you go like, okay, I think I'm gonna focus on that good thing, and that's how it works. So
That's
I
super
think
important. Like,
of very small pills. And I have one thing for sure: whenever I'm in a bad situation, I think of it as I'm writing a book, and I'm like, okay, this would be a very good chapter. I'm like, nobody wants to read a book and be like, he was born in a good family and then he was raised nicely.
And then he died.
And now he's in very rich and then he died and he was in heaven. No,
Story.
no, I mean, nobody relates because people are made from problems.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to read like he was born from a very poor family or maybe rich family and then all of a sudden the family was broke. And then I don't know who was raped, something happened, somebody was stabbed. So when I'm in that situation, I'm like, okay, this makes for a very good chapter.
Wow.
I think people will love the book.
Wow.
Then I live through it.
Wow. Thank you,
I
man.
like that. I like
Yeah,
that. It's like
me
kind
too.
of having a compass.
There you go.
And whenever you're lost, you can pull it out. This is my goal. You know the direction you're walking towards.
Yeah. And that is the last thing you want people to pick from this episode from you?
For me, I like the fact that you always stand up for what you believe is right
Thank you.
and speaking up for it. And I think when we pick up on that, it's like, let's not be bystanders. So I think that's more, it costs more because you question yourself. Now there's internal dissonance. Now I value this, but I never spoke up for what I believe is right. So it causes you internally more damage than speaking what you believe. Speaking up for what you believe in would do. So now Tanzania, maybe we are bystanders.
Oh my God.
We I don't know if it's the colonialism or what somewhere we learned to keep quiet about things, many things.
They even warn you.
Yeah.
When you speak.
But imagine if we collectively always spoke up. If you see someone being harassed, you speak up and say, we don't do this. This is not right. Umemwona mtu kwenye mstari mko bank mtu akaja kamchomekea mwenzio and you stand up and say,
And
hey,
it's the little things
exactly.
sometimes.
It's small things that you stand up for. You refuse to be a bystander, to just let people do the wrong thing. Because once we do that, then we're saying it's okay. It's okay to walk in line in front of me. It's okay to disrespect me. Because that's someone disrespecting you. You spent your time there. So if a lot of us can stop being bystanders, choose
Even
your
try
battles.
standards. We're like, try quadri standards.
Exactly.
You remind me of one of my favorite quotes from Dante Allegri. He actually said, I read big stuff.
My God, I was like, what is happening?
He actually said,
Okay,
darkest places in hell are reserved for people who remain neutral in times of injustices.
Oh, that is bad.
And for me, that was always been like, and sometimes I always tell my kid as well. My favorite would always say, speak up. Always speak up. If you see something that is not right, speak up. If you feel like I'm doing something that's not right, of course you cannot get shouted at me, but ask me.
Exactly.
Like, why did you do this? Matokeo yake, ukimfokea, so why did you do that? It defeats the whole purpose of fokea, right? Because when you fokea, you don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
You should do it.
It
You
helps
don't
you
know.
be better.
But for me, that's something I'm also teaching both of them. Hata mdogo miaka mimi asikii chochote, lakini point yangu ni kwamba it's so important for me kuwa na those kind of values kwamba be able to speak up, do the little things like it come even, then that's how you get better.
Choose courage over comfort, as Renee says. It's comfortable to just sit silently and let things happen. Kwa sababu nitaogopa if nikiongea kitu kibaya nikutamie. So you're choosing comfort. But it's courageous to stand up because then you feel much better.
I've done something.
Exactly. You've made, even if it's a tiny change, you've actually stood up for what you believe in. So now you're also not going to, there isn't this dissonance in your head. Okay, kimenikuta, labda I got into trouble, but I did the right thing, according to you.
But you also need to truly believe in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And
don't
seeking
just...
attention because
Yes.
everybody now is speaking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My guy.
It will vary.
Yeah,
between-
Idris. Thank you for coming through,
Thank
man.
you.
This has been a
Thank
very good
Thank you so
conversation.
much. Yeah.
It
I
is.
hope in 2023 we might be able to catch up and do another one.
I'll welcome
And
you
see-
in LA.
Yeah, yeah.
We will
Idris,
fly there.
Idris, fly us out. No, private jets, probably.
Inshallah.
Okay, you cannot do private jets, but with first class.
From your
Tutabeba
house
the
to
equipment
Wazir.
center. Like from your house in LA, man. We wish you nothing but success, my guy,
Thank you.
because
Thank
you work hard, and I always believe combining nothing beats the hard work. You talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, you want, but you cannot question because that guy work ethic.
He
Talk about
definitely-
Lionel Messi, you want, but you cannot question about the
Proper.
work ethic. You know, and that is so important to have.
Consistency.
Not only as a man, but also as a human being. You know, Denzel Washington has a quote
Fall down.
that he actually said, "Kwamba is a greater threat to
Progress.
to progress than hardship."
Yes.
You know, I love that thing because, and he also talk about consistency, kwamba commitment will get you started, but consistency will get you there.
Fall down
Because-
7 times, get up 8.
8 times.
See you at work.
Yeah, see your work. You know, if it were easy, kila mtu angekuwa Idris Sultan. You know,
It makes sense.
So it makes sense. So my guy, keep doing what you do. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
We love
Thank
the conversation we're now going to premiere a Netflix series. Holla at your boy.
You know, you're the first person I've actually told.
I
that
know, man.
On record.
I know, man. People listen, and I'm not gonna say shit in this podcast drops. So what watakutana nayo huku watakutana nayo huku kwenye podcast, man. So thank you for coming to Nadia as always.
Thank you very
We appreciate you being a man by association. Keep doing you, right? This is Men the podcast.
The woman. It is.
She's a man by association.
This is not men. This is men, woman.
He's coming up with a new podcast. That's not ours. You're here too. So Nadia,
But there's man and woman.
Nadia is our own resident psychologist. Feels
Why you
fun
say
to
residence? What's that?
Because you can only find her here.
Fixture.
She's a fixture here. She's here.
That way he can't kick me out.
It makes sense.
So I'm secured my spot.
The resident knows what a child.
And he pia ni ofisi yake, which is our studio as well.
So you're the one that's going to be kicked out.
Clearly, by now. That's why do you think I'm doing all these things?
Okay,
So yeah, you
thank
can catch Nadia at Mind Matters on Twitter and at Mind Matters TZ on Twitter and Mind Matters TZ on Instagram. Ambapo unaweza kuwasiliana naye, but for us, Admin the podcast on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Remember to subscribe, share, popote pale unapoweza kusikiliza, but mostly Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Audiomack, Boomplay, na all other places ambazo you can catch your podcast. You definitely find us there. Till next time, man, we appreciate you. Peace.
Men, the podcast.